Hey folks, okay, so I'm going to talk about how to use the IR instrument. Okay, and this first part is actually just for instructors at the beginning of the day. So students, taking organic laboratory class, you won't be doing this. And if you're teaching later in the day, you may not find the IR instrument like this, but if you're teaching the first section of the day or something like that, you may find the instrument like this. The instrument has a very sensitive salt-based window that the laser shoots through, and we live in Hawaii, very humid, and we've already replaced that window once. So in order to try to retain that, we keep it enclosed in this very expensive chamber. Yes, it's an upside down plastic bin bought from Walmart. And then we have some desiccant in there, okay? So you may find it like this. If you do find it like this, all you need to do is take the brick off. Okay. All right, and then you carefully take this guy off. Here is our desiccant, which clearly needs to be changed. Okay. Here's the instrument. Right down here, I think you can see there's a green light on. We usually leave the instrument itself on, but the computer that runs it, we leave off. Okay. All right, so now we can take the keyboard and set that in front of the instrument. Get the screen. I want to make sure, well, when it comes time, I'll readjust you guys so you can see the screen a little bit better. Here, okay, so turn on the computer down here, just like you button right in front, just like you turn on any sort of tower-based PC. It will come up with some login stuff for the computer. Just hit return. No login stuff required. Once we load the software, then we'll use this stuff that's on the front of the instrument for the software. This is a really nice instrument. We used to have a much less nice instrument where you had to put it in special between salt plates and all kinds of other things. So, okay, Control-Alt-Delete. And then what here is asking for a password. I'm just going to hit return. I'm going to see if I can readjust you guys. Okay, hopefully that's going to be a little bit better for you to see, so forth and so on. It's asking me about some Windows activation. This computer is not actually hooked up to the internet, so don't be using this hoping that you're going to be able to email it to yourself later on, but I'll show you a number of ways that you can get your data, save your data, etc., etc. Okay, so I'm just going to say no, go away. Okay. And then, can you guys, oh boy, you can barely see it. It's called Spectrum down here. There's another one, Spectrum Quant. I'm not sure what that is. I never used that. It's Spectrum. It's got 3 balls sort of overlapping each other, a green, a red, and a blue. Spectrum right there. Let's see. If I move that, can you see? Nope, that didn't help. Here, sorry, very low brow here. Okay, this Spectrum right there, that guy. Okay, I'll double click him. All right, now here's where you do actually need to put in some stuff. So here we're going to type out administrator. Okay. And then here the password is simply Spectrum, capital S. Oops. Okay, and we're on with the software. A lot of the time you'll find this like that. You may also, this little tip here on this guy sometimes gets stored over there. A lot of the time, I just myself, I keep it on there. But if you don't have that little tip on there, then you can't take spectra. Okay, so this guy's warming up. Now, if you're using this for the first time in the day, we're going to want to obtain a background. There are different compounds in the air, maybe a little bit of compound on the instrument, hopefully not. And when we take spectras of our samples, we don't want to include that in our samples. So what we do is we take a background, and then when we do end up taking a spectra of our compound, the software will subtract out the peaks and so forth that were part of the background so that you're not seeing any of that stuff with your actual compounds. To do a background, I don't know if this is recommended, but I typically do this. I bring that over. I want it to be as close to the situation that it's going to be when I'm doing an actual sample. And then you start screwing this down, righty-tighty, yeah? And you want to screw it down until just when that kind of sits down on the metal and no more. And then, again, this is still just instructors at the beginning of the day if no background has been taken. If a background's been taken earlier in the day, then there's no need to do this. So you come up here, click a background. It will do its thing. Takes just a minute. Gives you an idea of your progress. Crazy looking spectra if you were looking for one. There are instructions up here on the wall. You can't see them right now. They're pretty good. The only problem with those instructions actually that I can think of has to do with resizing. Sometimes we want to zoom in on our spectra because our spectra is it's too small, and so we want to zoom in, and that isn't really covered on the instructions very well. Also, there's some details to saving the file, saving the spectra files that doesn't have enough detail up there. Eventually, hopefully, we'll get those instructions fixed up for us and stuff. Okay, so now we're ready to put a sample in here. I'm going to take this back out, lefty-loosey. You can do solids or liquids. I'm going to happen to use a liquid today. I'm using a compound called cyclohexanone. Okay. All right. Like always, you want to have your material very close to where it is that you're going to be putting it. You don't want to be dribbling all over the place. If it was a solid, maybe in a little watch glass, you have it here, you get a spatula. All you need there is just a tiny spatula tip of material. I often describe for students in terms of the candy nerds. Everybody know the candy nerds, or remember the candy nerds? Like a tiny little nerd of material there. And then you can kind of pat it down with your spatula. But like I say, I'm going to use a liquid today. And I'm going to put the smallest drop I can on this little diamond here. Shaking. Okay, that's more than I actually intended to, but it's all right. Sometimes, very occasionally, if you end up getting no spectra whatsoever, like it just seems like, just kind of a straight line, even when you zoom in on it. Sometimes that's the problem is you've put way too much there, especially if it's like a powdery material and you put way too much in there. There's just not enough light getting through. Okay, so don't overdo that. And then this will click back into place. It actually doesn't end up right over the diamond, unfortunately, anymore, but it still works just fine. Okay. So now we're going to screw this down, and again, the instructions are right up here on the wall in front of you, and they're certainly fine to this point. And we're going to screw it down until it just sort of makes contact, okay? And then we're going to stop at that point. We're going to hit this button up here that says scan. Okay. So I guess I should have made a bigger point out of that, once we were completed with the background, now this is what a student would typically be doing. This is what you would do as a student. And I should have mentioned, actually, it's good to make sure, look and see if somebody didn't leave their material. You should clean it before you leave, but make sure there's no material left on the little diamond right there. Okay, when you've put it down a little bit like I did and you hit scan that one time, a force gauge comes up that tells you how tightly this is screwed down, okay? And you want to tighten this down a little bit more righty-tighty. Don't go nuts, okay? Carefully do it so that this comes up and is between 80 and 100. Right now it's at 16. So I will start turning this. Okay. There we go. Okay, 86, perfect. Once it's in that range, I'll hit scan again. Okay, and now it takes a couple different scans and then it will average them together. This little line tells us our progress. You can already see our spectra coming up. Now at cyclohexanone, we'll expect a carbonyl peak somewhere around 1700. We expect CHs, sp3 CHs. And we see those guys coming in. Okay, and then we have our spectrum. I was hoping it would stay small like that. This one came out beautiful, and so you don't really need to adjust it. But I'll try to create it so that we do need to adjust it a little bit. Sometimes if I do the auto Y, it'll be perfect. Now it's kind of scrunched down, and sometimes it's even more scrunched down, and you can hardly even see anything. In that situation, what you can do is you can come back out here and just sort of highlight, make sure you encapsulate, I'm going to want to get down below the tip of that guy, and then I'll stop. I'm going to make a box around the stuff that I want to zoom in on. Okay, so I'll stop right above this. Okay, so I'll come here, it makes a red box. Okay, perfect, and then I'll double click. There, and it zoomed in nicely. A lot of the time, sometimes you may see just, it hardly looks like just a really thin line, and you zoom in and you have a beautiful spectra lying in there, just waiting for you to check it out. If you, for some reason, this was too low, if you bring the cursor all the way to the left here, you can move this guy up and down, okay? I don't know why you would, but you can also move it left and right. Okay, typically we like, up to 4,000, I don't know, down to 500, that's good. Reciprocal centimeters. Okay, fantastic. So now what we want to do is let's put our sample ID, okay. Probably keep it simple. Let's do burger, so last name, and then I'm going to cyclo. Okay, hex unknown. All right. And then let's see. I want to make sure that I'm actually doing it in the same order. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So I've got my sample ID up there. So turn on that. Now we'd like to mark some of these peaks. I mean, we can estimate. Oh, okay. We can print this out now. And, oh yeah, that's somewhere in between 1500s. But we'd like to know exactly what is the wave number there, okay? So what you want to do is you want to find the cursor button. This software is kind of one of those softwares where, you can create the buttons and put them wherever you want and stuff. It's so flexible and everything, and it's a little too flexible. So sometimes people move the buttons around. Pretty good right now, so hopefully it doesn't change. We want to find the cursor, okay? And so right over here you can see cursor, and that red line comes up. And now I can move that over, all right? And let's say I want to get that peak, okay? I put it right there, and then I click. Okay, came up. And if it starts to get crowded, I can sit over that peak that just came up, and I can move the number so that it's all, in some nice location. Okay. Now, students always will ask, "Oh gosh, which one should I mark?" Well, that can be kind of a hard thing to answer. One of the things you want to do is you want to have an idea of what type of functional groups am I looking for. You know, what are the functional groups of my desired product? Okay. What are the functional groups in my starting material? Maybe we've got some unreacted starting material and we'd like to detect for that. So that's the first thing I would do. Like I said, this is a ketone, so I'm going to look for a carbonyl. There it is, beautiful. And I can drag this guy. I'm going to get that guy just for fun too. Okay, I'm going to drag this guy over here and get that guy. Okay, all right, nice. And yeah, I mean, from there on, you know, I would try to get the major ones, okay? Certainly if you see something that, you know, the strong ones, okay? You probably want to get most of the peaks that are above 1500. And then if it's below 1500, get some of the strong ones. There aren't too many here, and it doesn't take too long. It's never going to be a situation, oh, I marked too many of them, so why not? Yeah? All right. Okay, there we go, looking good. Click, click, okay. Having some fun. All right. Okay, that's good. All right, make sure that I'm doing the, okay, now I'm going to save this data file. Now, it's going to save the data file in a format that only this software understands. So if I just opened up that file, that particular type of file, we'll also save it as a Word file in a minute. But I'm going to at least save the data file so that if I lose my paper or something like that, I can come back to the instrument. Okay, I've got my sample ID in there. I'm going to come over here to, and by the way, when I save the sample, it will not keep these peaks that I just made. But when I do the subsequent save as a Word document, it will save them. Okay, so I'll come over here and I'll go File, Save As. Okay. And then here, okay, first I will, so this is where it's going to say, this is a little bit different from, you know, how a normal Windows type of interface for saving looks. The first thing is Save File Path. If you come over here, you'll see this little box come up with 3 dots. You click on that guy, it takes you to the desktop, and now I'll pull this down here and I'll look for whatever class it is I'm taking, okay? Let's say I'm doing this for Chem 3031. There it is. I'll open that guy up, and now I'll find my semester. Okay, there it is. And then I'll press OK. Yeah, I didn't bother to make different sections in there. I think if we just keep all our files in there, it should be fine. As long as you got your last name and you got your compound, you should be good. Okay. All right. So OK. And then I want to make sure that this also has my file name here. So that is going to be burger cyclo hex no. Okay. All right, and then save. All right, now I'm going to minimize this down. I just want to make sure that it's in there. You don't necessarily have to do this, but and there it is. Now, if I don't even think it will automatically pull up that software. If I just open this file, it's going to give me a crazy nonsensical Word document, actually, because it's an SP file and it doesn't know to go look for that software. So what good is it to me? Well, suppose I lose my paper, whatever, I come back, lots of people have used the instrument. What you can do is, if you have this open, okay, you can come up to File and then Open and then find that SP file, and it would bring it back up in an interpretable spectrum. Okay. All right. But we like this. We've marked our peaks and everything like that. Let's make it now a file that we can read. And the best way, we changed it here and it's crossed out and stuff, but the best way to do it, I think, is to you come here to File, you come down here to Send To, okay, and send it to Word, new Word document. Okay. Wait a moment. It's really kind of slow. Okay, you can't see it, but down here there's a Word window. If I click on that, it opens up, and then it brings up my thing. Okay, it was just sitting down at the bottom here. It was sitting right there. Okay, and it wasn't going to come up until I clicked on that. This is some sort of Windows issue, and now it wants me to activate some Windows blah blah blah. I don't care. There's my spectrum. I might have taken that cursor off. I forgot to do that. And now you can save this in the same folder if you like, Fall 2020 of 3031. We don't see the other one because it's not a Word type file. Burger cyclotext unknown. Okay. All right, now it's saved as a Word file. We can also print it. Okay, and there's a laser printer down here at my feet. As you can hear it spooling. And a really nice thing to do is, students never seem to do this though, they don't run around with thumb drives. But if you have a thumb drive, you can put it right here in the USB port for thumb drives. And then you can save this right onto a thumb drive, and then you don't have to do any scanning or anything like that. You'll already have it digitally. Okay. Okay. Wonderful. One thing, a few things you need to do before you leave, and make sure that you have it ready for the next person. The first thing you need to do is come over here, and you can see my file right here, right? Burger cyclohexanone. I'm going to right click on that dude and I'm going to hit delete. Okay. It will sometimes have lots of windows open and it'll accidentally, Gideon's and 5 students and stuff, and now you're suddenly thinking you're looking at your spectra, but you're looking at some other student spectra. Okay. So you want to leave it clear. All we have here is sample table, sample views, and a nice clean field. Okay. Now, on this guy, I want to lefty-loosey back him out. Okay. To the left of the machine is what we call Kim wipes. Okay. Don't use paper towel or anything like that. You want to use Kim wipes. Scratch less. Okay. All right. And then, because it's a liquid, I'll get that off. And I try to get the little diamond part there and the tip of that little dude. Okay. And then I will also get another one. I will get some isopropyl alcohol. That really should have it spelled it out, but that's isopropyl alcohol, IPA. I'll get the Kim wipe wet away from the instrument over the floor here. Okay. And I'll just really clean that, clean the tip of that guy, and then I'll swing them out. Now, if you're standing next to a student who's just done that, wait a minute, okay? Because isopropyl will give you a beautiful spectra. It evaporates fairly quickly, but just give it a moment just so that that isopropyl alcohol evaporates, okay? And here's the spectra. It's not that great of a printout. It's another reason why it would be good to have a thumb drive and so forth and so on. But yeah, make sure this is clean. Try not to dribble anything on the keyboard here. I do want to add for instructors, so forth and so on, if it's the end of the day, we do want to shut everything back down. So, come down as you would. I guess we can shut off the software. Okay. And then go here, shut down. Okay. And then we just sort of slide that guy out of the way. Slide that out of the way. We put our very fancy, expensive chamber back on the instrument. You put, this is expired desiccant, but if we had good desiccant, we put that in there, and then you put the brick back on top. Right on. Okay, take care, guys.